I need everyone on this case. He could be anywhere. He could be anyone. We're gonna tear this city apart.
I'm gonna let him spin like a spiral.
Hello, Detective Banks. When was the last time you saw your father?
I am digging the background in the shirt.
Well, I moonlight. I just came from my night job, so I hope I didn't have time to change, Darren. So I hope you don't mind.
I love it.
Man, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Spiral. This is one of the first movies I've been back in the theater to see, and it was such a great experience. I'm a huge horror fan. I love the Saw series. This was it was totally different, which I loved. It was something I wasn't expecting. But what drew you back to the series? Because this is the 9th installment.
Yeah, I guess I've learned never say never, because I did Saw 2, 3, and 4, and I said after 4 I was done. But I'll tell you what drew me back, and that was 2 things: Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. When those guys call, you answer. And I got a phone call, and I heard that Chris Rock was a fan of the Saw franchise, and he wanted to make a new one. And that was it. I signed up immediately.
Well, if you told me that Chris Rock was going to be in a Saw movie, I thought you're out of your mind. But after I saw him in Fargo, I'm a new fan. I mean, the man is incredible when it comes to dramatic, is expanding his catalog, I guess you want to say. He's just amazing in this.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, he surprised everyone. And I think, he shot Spiral before Fargo. And so at that point, I hadn't really seen a lot of dramatic Chris act. He'd been in films, obviously, for decades, whether that be New Jack City or as fun as Beverly Hills Ninja. So getting a chance to actually work with him in a dramatic thing, on day one, when I saw him bring it, I was like, oh my God, people are going to love this.
And no Tobin Bell, easy decision.
Yeah. So, one of the things we had a big discussion about was what we were going to keep and what we were going to start over. And I think that if we put Tobin Bell in the film, it would have become Saw 9. It couldn't have been Spiral. It would have been Saw 9. And I think that what we wanted to do was hit a reset button and say that, hey, if you have not seen the previous 8 films, it's okay. You can come into this and be completely fresh and new. But I will say to you, just because there is Spiral does not mean there will not be a Saw 9. And what I mean by that is Spiral is now its own storyline. So while we might see a Spiral 1, a Spiral 2, you might see a Saw 9 and a Saw 10 that goes back to the story of Hoffman, back to the story of John Kramer. So call this the Sawverse, if you want. So hopefully there'll be many stories told in this kind of new way of telling movies within the Saw universe.
I like that too, because the police are front and center, for the plot around this time, and it feels more like a thriller than a traditional horror film. Very Seven, which I think nobody really kind of plays off of, because Seven was brilliant.
Yeah, Seven is one of so Chris and I, when we first sat down, we talked about what we wanted this film to be. And I think both of us immediately connected on 2 films, and that was Seven meets 48 Hours. And, in both of those, it's kind of a buddy cop, even in Seven. And yet it's got that dark undertone. And it had been a while since I'd seen 48 Hours. I always thought of it as a comedy, but it's not. If you go back and watch it, it is hard-boiled, it is intense, it is violent. And it has Eddie Murphy doing some jokes. And I think that those were our 2 kind of inspirations going forward this time.
Well, did you get everything you wanted this time around? Did you have some traps that didn't make it in the film?
I mean, there's always things that I wish we could have done. But I think that I'm really proud of this movie and the fact that it's a polarizing film. I'll say that right now. I think that some fans are going to want John Kramer and Billy the Puppet, but this is its own complete story. And I'm excited that I feel like if you are a fan of the Saw franchise, this has the DNA of Saw, but it also is its own unique thing. And to me, that's really exciting as a filmmaker.
Well, I would think also as a filmmaker, coming up with the contraptions and the scenarios, that's got to be the best bull sessions, in creating these films.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a long, arduous process. It starts with, we look at a character and we say, okay, what is this character? And then we have production designers, wardrobe, writers, stunt guys, and we all start throwing ideas about how can we accomplish this. And so, whether that be, someone who lied on the stand, well, how do you torture this guy? Well, if he lied, he used his voice, he used his tongue, he used his mouth. And then we start all throwing ideas. How can you remove a tongue? And it's a dark few days as we try to come up with these traps.
How was your day, honey? Oh, well, we discussed how to get rid of someone's tongue, in a murder scenario.
My 4-year-old son was there when I was making this movie. And I remember one day he surprised me at my office. And that was the day that I had a bulletin board full of really horrific pictures. And I could hear him running down the hall. He was going, "Daddy, Daddy." And I jumped in front of my door and I was like, "No, no, 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 you cannot come in here."
And I think the best part too is having Samuel Jackson doing his traditional "we can't say the word" that he says that he's famous for all throughout the film. And not only that, I love the colors he used. It's the reds and everything. It's just really visually stunning as well. So, well, Darren, to wrap me up, man, awesome job. Thanks for a great thrill. And come visit us in Las Vegas, man. We'd love to have you.
Love to come. Thank you so much.